Hey, welcome back, watch fans. Today we're going to be talking about Jaeger Le Coultre. Should you be buying one right now? Should you get in on the ground floor of the next big boom in the next big thing? Can JLC be the next big thing? Can you double your money, triple your money by buying a JLC watch? You know what? I actually think you might be able to. Now, this is not investment advice, my friends. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. On the wrist is the JLC dual time beautiful watch, rose gold, display back with a hunter case, and wait for it. We got the point clasp, full gold. Now you can pick one of these up for under 10 grand right now. Amazing value. Now this same movement powers the Royal Oak dual time, the Vacheron Constantin overseas dual time, and I think one other brand. Now, look, they've been known as the watchmaker's watchmaker. You know, they've made movements for pretty much, I mean, the who's who. Definitely for Patek, for Vacheron, for Audemars Piguet. So why does JLC get no respect? I think it's an interesting phenomenon. Now, here's where I see the opportunity. I'll tell you what's happening recently. Now, the JLC has been making better and better watches in the last, let's call it, 10 years. I mean, when I say better, I'm talking specifically about, more prestigious, more precious metals, better, the designs. I mean, they're trying to go more high end. I'm trying to basically articulate that as well as I can. They're trying to step up the value chain to be more of like a Patek, let's say, right? And they should be. They definitely, by all means, they could do complications as well or even better than Patek or any of these other guys. Okay, and this story about the hand finished movements, yeah, they could do hand finished movements. Do they do it in all their watches? They don't need to, because look, the hand finished movement stuff is a bunch of nonsense. Okay, it's just a storyline that these guys sell you. This is a storyline that they sell the tomato cans. Oh, hand finished movement. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, do you really care if the engine in your car, is hand finished? I mean, it's nice. It's a nice story, and it's nice to think about it. But if it doesn't affect the performance or the looks or the comfort, it doesn't really matter, right? And that's how I feel about the hand finished movement stuff. Now, on their high-end watches, they do put a very high, but who gives a shit about the hand-finished movement stuff? It really makes no difference. It's again, that's a gimmick. It's a gimmick that these Muppet boiler room brands try to scam the punters with. Okay, don't be a sucker. Don't be a sucker for that hand-finished movement stuff. Okay, so. The problem with the JLC, again, they've been making better and better watches. The prices have been going up. Now, here's what's going on right now. They've actually jacked up the prices a lot. And again, this watch was under 10 grand. Now, used. I'm talking about used, full box set, everything. Great value. Now, the new model is going for 25 grand, 30 grand. It's some crazy price. It's slightly better, maybe. I don't know. It's a crazy price. Maybe not compared to the others, but the thing is, look, JLC is, I think, as good as Patek and AP, okay, or definitely Breguet and etc. But they're as good, but because again, their brand is not, it doesn't have the prestige factor yet. I believe that's going to change in the next few years. And again, they've been jacking up the prices. The problem that they've had, I think, is they've had too many models and too many basic steel models, and they don't have that flagship model. They don't have like that one watch that everybody associates with JLC, except for the Reverso. And I think a Reverso is kind of, I don't think that's a watch that you want to really have as your flagship. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a nerdy watch, really. It's kind of a dull watch, in my opinion. Some of them are quite beautiful. That tribute, the dual time annual calendar is an amazing looking watch. Too big. And again, that's the other problem. They always get something. I think they just kind of miss with everything. Either the cases are too big, or something with the dial, or something they just off. Like this watch, I think is great, but I do wish it was a little bit smaller. It's a little too big. As a dress watch, this is like, I don't know, 38. I mean, it wears like a 40 millimeter. Look, and I'm wearing it a little bit loose on the wrist, but again, I mean, if you've seen my other videos when I have like the Yachtmaster 40 or Submariner, I mean, this watch wears almost as big, maybe even bigger in a way. So I think if you're, a big fat guy with a big fat wrist, you want to get a JLC because it'll make you more elegant. It'll slim you down. So it's like a nice trick. It'll give you some sophistication. Again, I think it's a great value. Now, again, the JLC collector, the buyer of JLC, is a more sophisticated buyer. Again, this is not to be self-congratulatory, but it's definitely somebody who appreciates quality and have some certain aesthetic sensibilities. It's definitely, it's not your average wanker. It's not your average Rolex punter, okay? It's not your average Rolex riffraffian, okay? The JLC collector is it's a sailboat guy. It's not the powerboat guy. Okay, it's a guy who probably has a what's the brand I'm thinking of, the Swan. What is Swan? I forgot the name of the boat. But yeah, it's a more sophisticated collector. Again, they're buying the quality look. It's a very different mindset. I would say it's definitely more higher intellectual capacities than the Rolex buyer. The Rolex buyer is basically, everybody. It's just too much of a wide net. Vacheron. Here's the thing. What I don't understand is with Vacheron. I don't know why they're considered that prestige brand. I mean, just because they've been around a long time, I get it, maybe. But they're not more innovative than JLC, for sure not. JLC is far more innovative than Vacheron. They do more interesting watches than Vacheron. Vacheron is basically living on fumes. The companies are running on fumes of glories of the past. I don't know, something that they did 200 years ago. Somehow they managed to survive, and as a result, now they basically claim to be a prestige brand just because they've been around a long time. That doesn't work that way. Okay, this is a meritocracy. Okay, it's based on what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? And Vacheron has not done a lot. Now, they have a beautiful overseas with a beautiful overseas tourbillon with the Piguet diamonds on the bezel, which I think is an amazing watch. I actually would love to own one if it was smaller. It's a 42 millimeter. That's also a problem for them. They make these watches 42 millimeter, which is a huge size. I mean, they're supposed to be like an elegant watch. 42 millimeters is too damn big. But yeah, so they're kind of in the same trap, I believe, as JLC. Now again, the JLC, too many watches. They're making too many watches. In other words, same movement, but in different materials. Like this watch, they have in steel. I think that could be the issue, right? Like if you're putting out the same model with the same dial, basically, and you're doing it in steel and gold, yellow gold, rose gold, maybe even platinum. I mean, it's like too much, right? I think it's just too much. And what's the other problem? Are they? I think they're owned by. Are they owned by Richemont? Yeah, I think they're owned by Richemont. Which I don't really care if it's independent. I don't really go for that independent family business bullshit. The Patek Philippe story, Audemars Piguet. I really don't care. Makes no difference to me. I'm only concerned about the quality of the product. Okay, there's plenty of family businesses that are put out garbage product. Okay, plenty. It really means nothing. So don't be a tomato can, a crayon eater. This stuff absolutely means zero when it comes to the quality of the watch. So, my friends, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a JLC. Now, I would suggest again, the watches that are good from JLC are really from, I would say, probably in the 2000s. Okay, really in the last 20 years, which is interesting because before that, I think also another problem is they never had any prestige watches early on. I mean, the Reverso is not really a prestige watch. I mean, it's kind of like a sports watch. It's kind of like an Omega. It's like an Omega, basically. So it was never that kind of real prestige watch. Like, nobody said, oh my God, I'm dying to get a Reverso. Nobody ever said that. So they never had anything really unique in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, or even in the 80s. So I think they started doing some interesting stuff in the last 20 years. Now, they made movements for all these other guys. They made movements. During that time, they were making the movements for Vacheron, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, right? But they weren't doing the dial. They weren't really focusing on their own thing, right? It's kind of interesting, right? So it's sort of like, it's almost like a white label service in a way. Like they're making all the stuff, and then somebody's putting their label on it and taking the credit. I think that was the issue. By the way, they did make some very cool clocks in the 50s and 60s, which was the Atmos, which is an amazing clock. When it's working, it's an amazing clock, very innovative. So by the way, has Patek made any interesting clocks? No, they have some stupid solar clocks, which are incredibly overpriced. They have some, what else they have? Yeah, you got a solar clock? What's the big deal? I know they made some like atomic clock or some nonsense. But yeah, I think that the JLC is the watch to get one of the last remaining values today. Now, the downside to having a JLC is that it's not a flex piece. You're not gonna impress anybody, unless they're kind of a sophisticated collector. Because most people, they don't really know or understand the brand. They might think it's a Timex, right? And why would they think it's a Timex? Because JLC had a brand that sounded like, or a line, or they still make a line that kind of sounds like Timex. It's called Memovox or Memovox. I don't know, which is like an alarm clock. So, they're getting better. They have some incredible watches that they're making at the very, very high end, and that stuff is going to trickle down to to the riffraff watches. So they're moving up the value chain, as they say in the consulting world. So I'm bullish on the long term for JLC. Now, what is the value proposition here? Look, this watch, again, I think if you can pick one of these up for under 10 grand, you're going to be okay. You might be able to make, by the way, I was exaggerating by the double. You might, maybe over 20 years, but that's not really keeping up with inflation. But I think that these things are probably going to be, they've been slowly creeping up, actually. The perpetual calendars that they make, I remember they were going for 8 grand, 9 grand 2 years ago. Okay, you can find a JLC perpetual calendar in precious metal from, like, I don't know. I think they came out in the early 2000s or whatever. I don't know, but those watches were going for maybe, let's call 10 grand. Let's just say 10 grand. Today, there's not as many around, and they've crept up in price. They're like, some of them are going for like 15 grand, right? So prices have definitely crept up. Now, I know that there's people saying that the watch market is dead. It's floating face down in a backyard pool. But JLC prices have been going up, right? So what does that tell you? What does it tell you? If the perpetual calendars are going up, these guys, I believe, are kind of going to be next. Those prices are not going down. So, I think collectors are realizing, and what's happening is people are, they're looking for value right now. They're looking for value. Where can they get the most bang for the buck with a serious watch? And I think this is really the only game in town. The positive is that it, which I hate about JLC is that, you know, they're making watches that are a little bit, the cases are a little bit too big. They're like 38, 39 millimeter cases, and they wear like 40s on a dress watch. So that's not a dress watch size, okay? Sorry, it's not, in my opinion. But, you know, apparently everybody's getting bigger. They're eating a lot of junk food or whatever, and they're getting bigger. So, you know, if you're looking for a bigger dress watch, which is, you know, relatively robust, reliable, this is it. This is it, okay? I mean, you know, this is, you know, pretty robust case. You know, obviously they're high quality movement. If something goes wrong, you know, you don't have to deal with the degenerates at Audemars Piguet or, you know, Patek. The people are very nice, but, you know, they're very expensive, and you know, they take forever. It's like, I mean, it's crazy wait times. I think Patek is actually a highly overrated brand, and especially today, with the way they're going, the new designs, which are big watches, the new dress watches from Patek are all like 38, 39 millimeter. They wear like 40s, and the dials are not that interesting. I mean, the movements are, you know, I mean, you know, nothing wrong with the movements, but you know, they're kind of, I'm not sure where they're going. But if I were to choose between a modern Patek or a JLC like this on the wrist, I would go with this. I think this is a better deal than you know, some of the modern Pateks out there right now, which are, you know, kind of just, you're basically paying for a brand. I don't think you're getting real value in the new modern Pateks. And by the way, Patek is cranking out millions of watches. Okay, don't believe this storyline about you know, small family business. You know, they make a limited amount. No, they're making a ton of watches. I don't know. Is it 100,000, a couple hundred? It's not small production. It's not like what it used to be, you know, 30 years ago even. It's they're a volume producer. I think they make as many as JLC actually. I think definitely in terms of JLC, Patek probably produces more precious metal watches than JLC. I'm quite certain of that. Meaning that you know, maybe JLC has a lot of production with certain steel models, and by the way, that could be what's dragging their you know, it's keeping the brand down, because they have too many cheap watches. They have too many steel models. I think that's really the answer, because they're trying to be egalitarian. And that's keeping them down, because, you know, people want exclusivity, and they have too many of these steel models that are going for, you know, $5,000 used or whatever. And you know, nobody wants that. Nobody wants a steel dress watch. I wish they understood that. Who wants a steel dress watch? It's like, what's the point of that? So, and their sports models are kind of dull. Their sports models are dull. The Polaris is an interesting watch. The bracelets are ugly. It's you know, it's one of those things. So, again, basically, this is like a sniper watch. You're sniping. You're picking out something here, which is a unique opportunity. And that's all I have to say. Look, make sure you click the like, subscribe button to enjoy more of this super high quality content, this high production values that you get nowhere else, with incredible dialogue, cinematography, and editing. That's right, these videos are highly edited, highly produced. You're not going to get that anywhere else on the internet. So make sure you tell your friends about this channel. Actually, don't keep it a secret. We want this to be a very exclusive club. We don't want to have riffraff coming in here.